Hi guys, when I had the chance to interview Chuck Fazio for Association Chat, I knew it was going to be an unusual chat, a little bit different than the typical. I had no idea, however, the variety of subjects we'd be talking about. And I want you to listen closely. It comes up early in the chat for my new favorite hashtag. I hope you enjoy the show. And if you have the chance, subscribe. Don't miss this podcast. Don't miss this show. Subscribe online and share with your friends and tell me what you think. All right, enjoy. This edition of Association Chat is very special. Association Chat is your weekly online discussion for the association community where we warm ourselves by the virtual fire with the topics of the day, welcoming thought leaders and trailblazers alike to join up in this online home for the community. I'm the producer and host, KiKi L'Italien, CEO of Amplified Growth Digital Marketing. And for today's show, we are talking with a human being who you've likely seen in the halls of any big association conference. Uh-oh. Chuck, hey there. Okay. All right. I'm going to turn off Chuck's mic just a second while he's trying to get this reconnected. But you've seen him in the halls of any big association conference with his team of photographers and makeup artists. Chuck is the creator of the original Headshot Lounge, which appears at PCMA's Convening Leaders, ASAE's annual meeting, association forum, IBTM, DMAI, and many, many other conventions. And he actually spends more time on the road than he does at anything he calls home, right? The road is his home. And so he's also the first ever artist in residence for American Forests, which is the nation's oldest conservation organization. He specializes in executive portraits and convention photography. And so because of this, people see him on a regular basis and they're fascinated by Chuck and the work that he does. I think that the thing that makes Chuck so fascinating, though, is that his personality and the fact that he is an entrepreneur and he does the things that he does just fascinates people and fascinates me as well. So I invited him on to ask him a number of questions, but also to give him a chance to talk about something that he holds near and dear to his heart, which is the Meetings Industry Fund. And so we're going to get to that. But in the meantime, and it depends on if he gets on here and is able to connect. Yay, we're getting close. So you're back. Woo. All right, here we go. We'll get the sound on. There you go. All right.
Good. Hi, everybody. Sorry.
No, it's good. I was just doing the welcome for you. Yeah. So I was just doing the welcome for you. Is this the way to do it so that we can look thinner?
You don't get it. Don't look at this. See, that's double chin. And look what I do now.
Oh my gosh.
Never tell. See, we've only been on for 30 seconds and I've already given everybody a great tip.
We're all about the value. And so welcome to Association Chat and welcome, Chuck. I was just telling everyone about how many days you spend on the road and how you're known for creating the original Headshot Lounge and how people see you at all of these industry events, but that you're a big passion of yours is this Meetings Industry Fund. But I have questions. I have questions in stock. I've been asking people what they want to know about you. People are fascinated to find out more about your background and a little bit more about how you've created the life and the business that you have. And so if you don't mind, I'm going to jump into a few of those questions to start with. Are we good? Are you good?
If you can hear me perfectly and see me, then
I can.
we are
okay, great. So one of the
All
questions that
right.
I received online was Chuck has had and continues to have many successes in a variety of different worlds. How much of it was jumping in with both feet, and how much of it was from meticulous planning?
I saw that question, and I thought that was a fascinating question because I struggle with this every day, and boy, I don't have a good answer because there's so much of both in it. I like to say that I would rather launch something at 80% than spend so much more time getting it to 90 before you launch, and just you'll get to 90 simply by the experience you have at launching at 80. It's the metaphor is the trips that I take, and those who follow me a little more closely know that a lot of the trips I take are filled with angst, self doubt, and questioning. Because I don't do a lot of planning. I say I'm going here, and that's the totality of the planning. I went to Alaska last year. I knew I needed to be in Anchorage on a certain date. I knew I had 5 days before that to kill, so I said I'm going to Alaska first. Um, Testament to my stupidity, I flew into Fairbanks instead of Anchorage. And then I looked on the map. I'm like, they're not even close to each other. You dummy! How could you do this? How could you possibly mistake Anchorage for Fairbanks, you
Yeah.
idiot? But then I looked and I said, well, look at that. That should be a fun drive. What could possibly be wrong with that? So I flew. I didn't change my flight. I could have. I flew into Fairbanks. I got there at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Here, I'm gonna so you guys can see my eyeballs. Um, I, this was my plan. Fly into Fairbanks, and do you know anything about Alaska? Do you
Well,
know where
okay.
anything is?
All right.
Fly into Fairbanks, rent a car, and just go. So I did that. I flew into Fairbanks. I got the car and I just went. And for the first 30 minutes, I'm like, this is just going to be a complete, utter waste of time because you didn't plan anything. You didn't even do the most basic research to know where you are. If you would have turned left instead of right, there probably would have been some amazing things, but you didn't do that, you moron. So I get on what I now know is the Parks Highway that everybody knows, but I did just saw it was the road. It was the road to Anchorage. It's the Parks Highway. It's one of the greatest roads in America, right? So I'm on it. Sorry, I'll stop wobbling in a second.
Wow. I mean, I know,
I'm
like
trying to.
staying on the
Yeah, there
move.
we go. All right, sorry about that. I put it down on something. Uh, so 30 minutes in, I'm driving down this road, and a beautiful, beautiful area, and I just stopped. And no, I didn't stop. I looked up, and there was a freaking rainbow, and it was a double rainbow. So I launched Seymour, my affectionate name for my drones plural. We'll never know. We will never tell you how many Seymours there have been. Um, you'll never know. Oh yeah, he crashes those things all the time. No, I don't. And I launched Seymour, and I took this majestic picture. I should pull it up of a double rainbow over the Alaskan countryside with a river, and I'm like, all right, that's my sign that things are going to be okay. So I drove all day. Now the day in Alaska is 18 hours long. So, it's midnight and it's still bright, right? So I start driving and I'm like, all right, it's 11:30. I'm looking at the map. I don't see much past here. I'm going to stay here for the night. So, when clients pay, I usually stay in some great hotels. When I pay, I stay in, I believe they're called shitholes. I don't know if you're allowed to say shitholes on this thing, but I stay in just the dumpiest places possible. I cannot justify spending money. And this place had extension cables plugged
Wow.
into power strips. I mean, it was just horrible. But I woke up, and it turns out I was at the entrance to Denali, which was just ridiculous. So I woke up the next morning, And I just started driving towards Anchorage, not knowing again what I was going to do. And I got to Anchorage about 7 p.m. that night. And I'm like, it's still bright out. Let's just go. Where should we go? Seward. I heard that's a place. So I decided to drive down to Seward. And because of I had no reservations, I didn't even want to look because I would only there's no hotels. I figured the worst thing I'm going to do is sleep in the car. I'm not even going to plan for a hotel. I get there, I'm like, some places got to be open. It's Seward. I've heard it's got to be a big town. It's not a big town, and everything was closed. Although it's still bright out, the
Oh
Alaskans
my
have gotten
God.
used to this. It's still bright out thing, and they still go to bed at normal times. Midnight is not a normal time for people to still be awake, so everything was closed except I drive around, I make a right hand turn, and there is a hotel that seems to be open. I walk in, and the guy says, "Oh, I shouldn't even be here. I was out drinking with my buddies." He's like, "I got one room left." I'm like, $500, man. I don't care. He's like, I don't care how much the hotel room is at this point. I'm expecting $300, whatever. He's like, well, the problem is it doesn't have any cable, so I can give it to you for $120. I'm like, well, you drive a hard bargain, bro, but I'm in. So I got my room at like the Seward Inn, which is this 100-year-old place. I said, what should I do tomorrow? And he pulls out a brochure. He says, you should do this. And this was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. It was a tour ride into the fjords of the Katmai Peninsula on the Kenai Fjords, or Kenai Fjords, not the Katmai Peninsula. I saw orcas fornicating. I saw, no, it's
Oh, wow.
orca
Wow.
penis. I mean, huge, huge orca penis. I
I mean,
saw. I'm
it's
not kidding.
too
A
easy.
pink orca.
It's too
Who
Eastern on a
sees those
Tuesday.
things?
Orca penis is not what I'm expecting to hear for a chat, but
No,
I'm
but the
glad
point
that that was
is, I
there.
saw things that I never ever would have seen simply because, to
Yes.
answer the question, I don't plan. The joy for me is to just say I'm going here, to just get on the road, because the victories are so much sweeter when they're not planned and when I just happen on them, like seeing orcas fornicating, which most of humanity
Mm.
will never ever see, simply because I decided. I used my instinct, my intuition, my sense, my feel. I took that road and I saw some amazing things. So that's the answer to the question. Very little planning, other than I'm here, I got to be there, and
So for anyone
I'm
listening to
just gonna
this
go.
later, you're not able to see the repositioning. You're not able to see that Chuck was showing us visually like how big an orca's penis could possibly be. But then also you're missing out on some of the great conversation that's happening over on the side where we see Naomi sharing, don't tell a meeting planner that you didn't plan anything. I'm having anxiety attacks listening to the Alaska story. And then Moira sharing that the power strips make the tech people have anxiety as well as the meeting planners. And so, and somebody accurately, probably quite accurately says, I bet no one else has ever or will ever say orca penis on association chat.
Orca
So there
penis.
you go. That's a good drinking
I
game.
get
That's a
scared
good
when
drinking
there's too
game. For
much
those
planning.
people who love association chat, we can look for the orca penis in the future.
I'm gonna
Oh,
I'm gonna pull up
okay
the
there.
picture of the
Okay
orca
then.
penis just so
And
everyone knows.
okay.
Yeah.
So back to the questions that people have been asking.
Did that answer make sense? Sorry, the dog did that. Did
It
that answer make
did.
sense? The answer is um, planning scares me. I like a rough framework, and then within that, I'd like to be very nimble to be able to take advantage
So
of things that
it did
present
make a lot of
themselves.
sense. So meticulous planning is not really the way that you go. It's more this, right.
Yeah, it
So
locks
you
you
like to be
in,
flexible.
puts blinders on.
And
You don't.
so
Yeah,
somebody asked, Chuck
sorry.
has done an amazing job translating his talent and passion for photography into a larger context of ideas and programs to benefit the association and meetings industry. How can people channel their own talents and passions into professional success? And I know that a lot of people come to you and ask for advice all the time, whether it's starting their own businesses, or looking at ways that they can bring their passions in and sort of align them with what they're doing as a business. What do you have to say to this question?
Wow, I tell you, I tell you, I could spend an hour talking about that. I could spend all day talking about that because it's a challenging thing. I mean, you got to get down to the fundamentals. Most of the time, people complicate things. People complicate relationships. They complicate it. The answers are a lot easier than people allow themselves to think they are. They truly are. What do? I'm a
Hmm.
photographer. I take pictures. Thankfully, I love doing it, but I got into it as a professional, not because of my love for photography. I got into it because I had failed at everything else that I had done. And I woke up one day at 47 years old. I had nothing. There was nothing I could do. I had run my own business poorly for decades.
What did
I
you do
got tired
before?
of it, and that
What
left
did you
me
do
with
before?
I had a small AV
Okay.
production company, and I didn't hire the right people. I didn't hire the people, and this is very important. I want everybody to listen to this because this is what Nils Lofgren, the rock and roll star, what I got out of him. Um, and it's called Sometimes You Have to Fire Your Bass Player. And this is the story. It's very relevant. All right. Very relevant to what we're talking about because it's all about who you surround yourself with. And it's about surrounding yourself with people that are better than you. And you
Hmm.
hear this a lot, but it's so fundamental and it's so true. And I didn't do that. I hung around people who were worse than I was. So when I dropped a ball, instead of them picking it up, they
Hmm.
kicked it further. And then they would say, "Oh, not my fault." And I would get the blame for it. I take responsibility for everything bad that happened, but it's a lot easier when you got somebody who's got your back. And that's number one. So Nils tells this story of meeting Neil Young, right, when he's just a kid back in DC. And Neil takes a liking to Nils and says, "Look, when you're out on the West Coast, look me up." So Nils is like, "I'm going to the West Coast." So he goes to the West Coast, looks Neil Young up, and Neil takes him, and David Briggs, Neil Young's manager, takes Nils under his wing. After a period of time, they go to Nils and they're like, "Dude, you are going to be monster." And Nils went out with his band,
Hmm.
with his buddies from high school that he had been with. And they say, "Look, you got to fire your bass. You got to get a new bass player." And Nils is like, "Screw you. This is my friend. This is the guy who's been with me from the beginning. I'm not firing him, you a-holes." And then, Nils finally starts thinking about it. He's like, "That's Neil Young, man. And if Neil Young is saying I need to place somebody near me who's holding me back, I got to do it. I got to make that tough call. I got to fire my
Wow.
friend." And that is just genius because too often we associate and hang out with people who don't take us to the next level. They bring us down by who they are. You don't get better at tennis. The only way you get better at tennis is by playing a
Right.
better tennis player. And one of the huge changes in my life this past year, going from being a photographer that you all appreciate and that you all say great stuff, which is terribly important
Yeah.
to me, absolutely. But when you start hanging around the biggest, baddest photographers
Right.
in the country, the people that other photographers say, "I want to be those guys," and when those guys start being your friend, and when those guys start saying, "Dude, you rock," you get better just by hanging around and by talking to these guys like John McDonnell of the Washington Post, who's been my hero for 40 years, Gary Hirshhorn, who was the photo editor of Reuters Sports for longer than that. And now I not only do I get to call these guys friends, more than mentors, I get to call them partners in projects. And it is a very, very cool thing. So, trying to remember what the original question was. The original question was, how do you bring your passion, into your life? Sometimes it's by force because you've got nothing else to do. which was mine. I always knew I could take a picture. So when everything went to hell, but here's the deal, and this is why I was so lucky. You may like crocheting. That doesn't mean, you're going to be able to make a living
Right.
doing crochet. Thank God I'm a photographer and I happen to be in Washington, D.C., the association capital of the universe. And those people all need photographers. So where there are zillions of photographers out there who are broke, who make no money, I was in an industry where these people are willing to pay ungodly sums of money per day. So I did this for work. I loved doing it. It paid the bills. But then slowly, I came to realize that when the day was done, when that 12-hour day was done, I couldn't wait to get out and take pictures for myself. I remember being in Atlanta shooting in the World Congress Center, and all I could think of was, God, I can't wait to get out of here to go through Centennial Park because the kids are playing in the fountain. And if you look, you're going to see a kid, African American kid like this, surrounded by water, and it's like, oh, this is great. So the challenge, and I tell people that pay attention to me now, is to be able to monetize your passion. That's where a lot of people fall off. How do you monetize the thing that you love to do if the thing that you love to do itself does not make money? And that requires constant thinking. I mean, sometimes I wish I could just stop it, because it is just constant thinking. We talked about, I don't have a plan. I just go do shit. Pardon me, go do stuff. But within that, it's like, all right, how is this going to advance me as a photographer? How's this going to advance me with you people? If I've got 5 days off, I could sit in the mansion, my dumpy little 1,300 square foot crap hole in Melbourne, Florida, or I can get in the chuck wagon, my 37-foot house on wheels, and go try to take an awesome picture that I can then post on Facebook and have everybody say, oh, Jesus, that's a great picture, which then enhances my brand. So there is a plan. The plan is to always do things to enhance my brand. But within that, that's the general goal. That's the general objective. But within that, we can wiggle around a little bit and try.
Now I want to
way of doing that. But that itself is full of self-doubt, because I just had an experience where I'm putting together this monster plan. This monster plan involves, some amazing photographers, think reality show on a journey across the country where we parachute into these cities, and we've got 48 hours or 24 hours to capture the essence of the city, and we're all competing against each other. So Gary Hirshhorn is the photojournalist. Clyde Butcher is the landscape photographer. I'm the drone guy. Who's going to come up with the greatest picture? Think reality
you guys,
show.
I have to interrupt you here.
Think a lot of
I mean,
things.
I'm looking at comments on Facebook Live right now. So, hi Dahlia, hi John Chen, hi Carl, hi, and I saw Alex Plax in here earlier. Elizabeth, Mickey, everybody else. Hi everybody. I'm not ignoring you on purpose. But speaking of Facebook, Chuck, your fan club has really shown up. And we have Naomi over here in Crowdcast saying Survivor meets the Hunger Games. Maybe that's what's going to happen. I think you have a lot of people excited about the idea of, looking at what the future could hold and ways to be creative, where you're bringing your passion and you're thinking about not just how to monetize it, but also how to just, I don't know, like, it's.
Oh, no. Let me tell you, everything revolves around monetize it. I mean, how do I monetize? Look, I love when you guys dig a trip that I go on. I started doing that a few years ago, and people have.
You are.
Am I still on?
Yeah.
Okay, you disappeared. All right. so people were loving, it got to be my thing where I'd say, hey, everybody, I'm taking you to Italy, or we're all going to Cuba, or we're all going to Alaska, or we're
Mhm.
all going to the Philippines. I said it in those terms to engage people, to make them part of the process. It wasn't Chuck's going these places and, he's going to post, pictures of his vacation. No, the whole thing was, I'm taking you people with me. And that really, really caught on. But then the thing was, all right, this stuff's costing me money, it's not like I've got a sponsor and people are paying me to go. No, so how do I find a way to monetize this? Cuba.
I am.
Cuba.
I
Are
am.
you still
And
there?
I think everybody else can
All right.
everybody else see
So
me and hear
Cuba.
me okay? I see me, and I'm seeing me on the Facebook feed, but there's a lot going on right here. Okay. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah.
I see a freeze frame of you. So so my point is that you always have to find the way to monetize what you're doing. Other than that, you're just wasting time.
Mhm.
Bills still need to be paid. The retirement still needs to be taken care of. So that's always been the challenge for me is, as a photographer, how do I monetize these pictures? How do I monetize these likes? And we came up with the taking people along on these experiences. And it started off, I'm taking people who want to learn photography from me. Um, but then it's gotten to be where people just want to come hang with me. I, I feel like I'm being, it's Huck Finn. I'm going on vacation and people are paying for the privilege to come with
I
me.
mean, it
Is this not
is. It
genius?
is.
And then they come with me and they're like, this was great. We had a great time. I'm like, I'm just being me. What's the point of that? The point is you always got to be finding the way to monetize what you're doing, no matter what it is, especially if it's your passion. If your passion is, I said crochet, I mean, whatever it is, find the way to monetize it. Is it teaching other people how to do it? Other than that,
Well,
you're
I don't
just
wanna
you're
waste
wasting
my
time.
time because I need to actually break out in a moment and share a little word about our silver sponsor for Association Chat. So, about halfway through Association Chat, I like to bring up a little sponsorship message, and I hope that everyone's enjoying the chat so far. For the past 3 months, Association Chat has appreciated its silver sponsor, Fontiva. Fontiva aims to develop flexible, easy to use software tools to help transform your business. Fontiva's member nation makes managing and growing your organization easier than better. Be sure to connect with Fontiva on Twitter at Fontiva Inc. and tell them your favorite thing about Association Chat. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. All right. So, getting right back to our interview with Chuck and everybody, thanks Alex and thanks Carl for chiming in on Facebook Live, and everyone who's part of this on Crowdcast here and Periscope. I want to get back into talking a little bit more about some of the questions that we got online there were a lot, and I'm really at this point hoping that we get to even 3/4 of them. uh we
All
got
right, I'll make my answers
rein it
briefer,
in.
but
I
I
know
think
you could go for, I mean, I
yeah.
see it, you've got lots of stories to tell. um Now here's one that I think that a lot of people are curious about, because you're known for having this creative vision. You're known for having the ability to take your ideas and make things happen with them. What's the best way to pick the strongest ideas and make them happen?
You know, a lot of that, how I do it, I do it based on the energy of the idea and the people that I've talked to about it, on the people that I brought into it. Number one is no idea. You can't do anything by yourself. Am I still on?
Yes,
Because you
yes, you're still
froze to me.
on. I can still hear you fine.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah, this is a really important point. Write this down, everybody. You cannot do anything by yourself. You just cannot do it by yourself. I don't care how good you are. You need to have people around you. And we talked about that before. Those people are the ones that will either feed your energy or suck it out of you. I had an opportunity, and I was talking about this project in Old Town, and it was a great project, and I really wanted to do it. I thought it would be great, but it wasn't
was
gelling.
this the
I
restaurant or
wasn't
bar
getting the
thing that you were
energy.
gonna look at?
Doesn't matter.
Okay,
Doesn't
all right.
matter
I'm
what
just
it was.
curious.
It still may happen. It still may happen. But let's just call it Project A. There's Project A that you talk about. You talk about with other people, and you notice a certain energy. There's Project B, and you start talking to it about people, and it's like, how about what if? How about what if? And it's just nonstop, and you find that you're in total harmony with somebody, that your ideas are meshing with their ideas. There's no conflict. We're all moving forward on the project. That's how I determine which projects I move forward on. And that's why the project that I'm working on now with a couple of monster photographers is moving forward because of the energy, enthusiasm, and input from everybody part of it. I'm going to stop.
Well, Lowell wanted me to ask you about the eclipse. He says, ask him about the eclipse, KiKi.
Well, that's the project
Ah, okay. That we're not talking about.
that that is Project B.
Okay.
No, that's
Okay.
the good project. And it's and Lowell, the son of a gun, being slightly disingenuous here because Lowell, there was a time, and I'm pathetic. I'm just pathetic. So I'm in Savannah, right? I'm in this bus that's got my picture on it. I'm going to be on the news in the morning, and I'm like, woe is me. It's cold out. I'm not getting any pictures. And I'm thinking, oh, I suck. I'm just an idiot for doing this, right? What a loser I am. And I'm pinging, Lowell pings in, and we start talking about it. And we started talking more, and I'm like, dude, why don't you come down here tomorrow? I'll fly you in. Let's spend a couple days talking. I will be the beneficiary of your wonderfulness. And Lowell did come in, and one of the things that Lowell said was, who are your thought leaders? Who are your people that you learn from? And I said, I don't have any. I mean, I do, but not my peers. And that's when I started to ping these other monster photographers and reaching out to them and saying, hey, why don't we get together every now and then? And why don't we just
I
talk
love
about
that. I
stuff?
want to stop you right there because you
And
mentioned it before, and it really hit a lot of people that you do have to look outside of who's immediately around you and purposefully grow that circle in order to grow in whatever it is that you're trying to reach. But here again, we're hearing how you started thinking in that direction and purposefully, intentionally looking out. I At that moment when you started reaching out to these people that you did think of as I look up to these people, I want to engage them, I want to get I feel like this is where a lot of people, even if they get past the identification point where it's like, okay, I know who some are, but now what? Like, what do I say? And you hear a lot of times when people are talking about mentorship, you hear people say, I want to add value to them, but how, So how did you go about this? I mean, were you nervous about reaching out to these people that you really looked up to?
The couple of things. Yeah, absolutely. I would see John McDonnell was like my freaking hero for 40 years. When he became a Facebook friend, that was cool. When he liked my first picture, that was like, I do
Yeah.
not believe this. Then when we started becoming friends, initially it's like, what am I doing here? And you're
Hmm.
always your worst critic. You never see yourself like other people potentially see yourself, which is why you need to surround yourself with people
Hmm.
who bring you up. not people who bring you down. If people are bringing you down, get them out of your life. If people are negative, even when you do something stupid,
Huh.
get them out of your life. You want people, even when you're doing something stupid, to be positive influences on you and still support you and nurture you, but guide you into being not stupid. Um, so John had some monster photographer friends, and I friended one of those guys. And this guy works 2 blocks from where I sit right now. The dude makes a camera sing. I have the same camera. I look at his pictures and I'm like, how do you do that? I push the same button. My stuff doesn't look like that, for Christ's sakes. So he started posting pictures of this other guy, Gary Hirshhorn out of New York. Google him, Gary Hirshhorn. And I'd look at his stuff and I'm like, I give up. And this guy, Matt Mendelson, the one in between us, said the same thing. He's like, I'm going to become a janitor compared to Gary Hirshhorn. I suck. And I'm like, I suck compared to you. So I really suck compared to Gary Hirshhorn. So after Lowell gives me this, nah, dude, surround yourself with, get the biggest, baddest, and brightest. And you work with those. You surround yourself. You talk with those people. I started liking Gary Hirshhorn's pictures. Before I did that, I'm like, who am I to like Gary Hirshhorn? I'm nobody to give this guy a like, let alone a comment. So I started liking his pictures. And one day, a couple weeks ago, he posts a picture. I decide I'm going to comment. Shit, I'm not worthy of being in the same room as this guy who's a photographer. And I said, you don't even have to see who shot it to know who shot it. This started a conversation with Gary, and I did not know that Gary Hirshhorn had been following. He had been seeing my stuff. And when Gary Hirshhorn says, dude, you're great.
Wow.
Like,
wow.
No.
Yeah.
The challenge then was, because I kept saying, you're Gary effing Hirshhorn. And Gary and John and all these big guys are most notable by their humility, right? They are just nice guys who have a job to do and do it. A lot of photographers, and nobody point at me, can be such arrogant assholes. Again, nobody point at me. I will get you off this thing if you do that. And I try not to be that way. When anybody comes up to me, and total strangers at an event, will come up to me and they just say, well, I just wanted to meet you. And I'm like,
that's
why?
So
I'm nobody. Funny, why do you want to meet me? But thank you so much. I mean, it's just like, why? Thank you. So I am always gracious when somebody takes the time to say something nice about my stuff. I may have, when I go about taking a picture, I'm driven to take a good shot. And at times I can be a little too strong in doing that. I admit it. I've suffered because of it, because of my tunnel vision. I've got to get the shot. No, stand over here. And I'm not exactly the nicest photographer. And the problem is when you then surround yourself with really nice photographers, your dickness becomes much more apparent.
I mean,
which is something that I've learned. Do not surround yourself with people that are nicer than you.
Your dickness will come out.
Anyway, my dickness, your dick, it's just that more obvious, right? Doesn't matter how good you are, dude, you're a dick. So the point is this. I forget what the point was. What were we talking about?
I was supposed to ask you about the eclipse, and it became about reaching out. And
all right. So, yeah. So here's what it was. So the bigger point was, you can't do a project without surrounding yourself with some really great people who can contribute energy to making that project succeed. You need a team, whether you are a sole proprietor, working out of your house. It doesn't matter. You have got to find people who do what you do, and you've got to reach out to them. But here's the deal. You cannot waste their time. People reach out to me all
Yeah,
the time. Oh,
yeah,
I want to
yeah.
learn. Oh, I want to do this. And I'm like, okay, all right, yeah.
You know,
What are you doing? And unless I see that these people are serious about what they want to do and are driven to do it and not just screwing around, not taking the easy way
yeah,
out or wasting my time, I will give them my time. So it is incumbent upon you when you reach out to people who are the leaders in what you do, to make sure that you got the goods. And that has been my mo for that's my whole mo on Facebook. Is people who follow me closely know that I could be a little silly, I could be a little irreverent, I could be sophomoric, but you will always say with all of
yeah.
that, but
I
dude
mean,
takes
I
an
have to
amazing
agree with
picture.
you. I have a lot of people who for one reason or another reach out to me asking for help, and every time they're asking for help, they have to know. You have to know when you do, and you have to know this when you do this to other people too, that it takes time. I don't know anyone who has an abundance of extra time, just hanging out. And it's really disconcerting, I think, that when you have somebody who hasn't done their homework, or who hasn't, it's like they're looking for that shortcut, but they're not willing to put the work in to earn it, right? And you want to help those people, but you also are like,
You know?
I've spent how many years and endless hours figuring this stuff out, and
Oh
I
man,
want to help people
man.
who earn it, but I definitely am not, I'm not going to spend my time that I could be doing other spending with my family, so that I can write out exactly what you need to
Yeah.
do to get here.
I tell you, man, when I started doing this, I did so much free stuff. I lost any sense of self-respect, and I went to anybody and said, "Can I take your pictures?" If somebody said, "Hey, want to do this for free?" Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
man. I put so
yeah,
much sweat equity into doing what I did, and then when I've got people now who are like, "I'm nowhere. I really want to learn." I'm like, "Okay, people that I have brought on before now make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year." But look, you gotta freaking
yeah,
carry my
yeah,
camera bag,
yeah.
man. You've got to put some sweat equity in this, and you got to help me out. And sometimes well, I need to make money.
I
No, I
know.
didn't make money. I couldn't afford to buy my daughter a prom dress. I couldn't put
Yeah,
gas in my car. You need to make money. How about you pay me $50,000, because that's what this education
right,
that I'm going to give you is worth.
right.
Pay me $50,000, let alone,
Oh,
say I
I
need to pay
know.
you
Well,
some
and
money.
it's
No,
it's
no,
so
that's not
crazy
how this
too,
works,
because
man.
it's like, and getting to that point where, I it could be so much easier for you or for me to go and try to work for somebody else and collect a paycheck, but to like really put your effort out there, and to be doing it because you need to, for whatever reason that is. For me, I need to do this, and all the work that you put into learning those lessons that do cost you the ability to feel like you can buy your daughter a prom dress when she's looking for it, and all of this stuff, for somebody to come in and say, okay, here I am, I should get paid, and I'll work for you. I'm like, no, first of all, I don't have money to pay you, but secondly, you know,
Right, right, right. No, 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 no. You should be thrilled to be able to just walk around with me, like I would be thrilled to just walk
yeah,
around with
yeah,
John McDonald. That I would be thrilled to fly across the country and walk around with Clyde Butcher, because he said yes, you can come with me. You know, if you're working for somebody right now, you have to understand that there is somebody else working for the same people whose job it is to
right,
eliminate
right.
yours. The only way that you will have any type of security, financial, workplace, is if you figure out how to do
Hmm.
this by
Hmm.
yourself, and to hang out your own shingle. But there's a lot of work and effort, that comes with that. But we're
Right.
talking about how I've done it. Surround yourself with smart people who take you to a better place. Number one, and number two. I mean, when I said, Jesus, there's nothing else I can do. I'm going to be a photographer. That's another Nils Lofgren story. I said to myself, but you know what? I'm going to dedicate myself to being freaking one of the best. I'm not going to be one of these guys who are photographers and we see them walking around, that clearly only do it because they're too
Right,
lazy to do
right, right,
anything
right.
else. I
Just
mean,
clicking the button.
fundamentally, all you
Yeah,
do as a
yeah. Just
photographer is this.
yes,
This is it.
yes, yeah.
This is it, right? It's not brain surgery where you got to know how to make the
Right.
incision and not go too deep and kill somebody, right? It's not being a meeting planner. You got to know what's the formula for how much coffee I buy. No, you
I
just
just
have
have
to
to
do this.
I have to
As a
check in with you
result, it
guys over here on the
attracts.
side, over here on Facebook Live. I mean, is this ringing true for you? Are you guys feeling on fire based on this? Because I am, and I'm thinking, who am I surrounding myself with? And how am I growing? And yes, we can't be another cog in the wheel because you know what? If we can be another cog in the wheel, we're not going to get anywhere. There isn't a place for the cogs anymore, you know? And so we have to be
No, you're going to be
you're
fired.
your
Your
cog
cog
butt
butt's going
is
to be
gonna be
fired
fired
soon.
soon.
Yeah. You're
Ah,
only shot at this, especially if you are young. I'm 57 years old. I just gotta hang on for a little bit longer. But my daughter's 26. I mean, she's got a
yeah.
whole lifetime ahead of her. You've really got to spend a lot of time thinking, how am I going to do this myself, and what are the tools that I need to do it? And the biggest one is that you've got to be prepared to do whatever it takes. Photographers also, I hear on these groups, they're all offended that people want them to do stuff for free. I still
Mhm,
do stuff for free.
mhm.
People, I am not insulted by it. I look at it as opportunities to expand my skill set. I mean, you look at the body of my work on my website, I shoot everything. I once had this young photographer. She had a problem taking headshots. I saw her on one of these photographer groups, and I was she had a problem with the client. I weighed in and something, and then I said, "Hey," I said, "I'm always looking for good headshot
What?
photographers." And you know what she writes back? Well, headshots really aren't my thing. I'm like, is eating your thing?
Is paying
Is
your
paying
mortgage
your
your
mortgage
thing?
your
Yeah,
thing? What do you mean it's not your thing?
yeah,
Jesus, I've
yeah.
learned how to shoot food and architecture and everything by people saying, "Hey, can you help me out?" Sure, because I'm going to use that as my learning opportunity to build my portfolio so that when KiKi calls and says, "I've got somebody who needs food shot," I'm not going to say, "Oh, food's not my thing." No,
Right.
everything is your thing. Other than that, you're stupid if you're not learning something
Here
new
we
every
go. This
day.
is
And
it.
again,
Yes.
this
If you're
is
not
not.
learning everything, yeah. If you're not learning something
If
new
you
every
are
day.
not learning something new every day, then you are phoning it in, and I don't want to have anything to do with you because there isn't a shoot that I go on that I'm
Ah,
not learning something new. I learned something new the other day on my camera. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know that. No, you idiot, you didn't know that. You just learned it,
I feel
and life
like
is better
I feel like
because
in
you
my
learned it.
head, what's happening here, and I just have to admit it, and I'm sorry if this seems unprofessional, everyone, but seriously, every time he says something that's like a thing that I think is really important based on our earlier conversation, I just want to go orca penis. But that I think you're right. You need to learn something new. You need to constantly because you don't know what's going to either inspire you or create new ideas that's going to help you grow in a new direction. Every single time I learn something new, and it might be about cooking and it might be about something totally unrelated, it ends up impacting everything else I do.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's stupid. I once had a photographer, and he wasn't doing something and I suggested to him. He's like, "Well, I sort of just go with what I know." I'm like, "You're an idiot if that's what you do. Go with what you know." My God, either you're going to find out a better way to do it,
Yeah.
an easier way to do it that makes your life better, or you're going to be able to give your client something that looks better. For as good as you people think I am, and I don't think I think I'm as good as a lot of you people think that I am. So understand, I'm very humble about myself. I truly am. Uh, what was my point? I'm always trying
Yeah.
to do it
Yeah.
better. Always. There's not a time that I go out. You know, some people take pictures and it's like, oh yeah, I haven't looked at those that I shot 8 months ago. I'm like, dude, if I don't look at what I shot 8 minutes
Yeah.
ago, I'm like behind, because that's how you learn, by looking at what you're doing. That's how, those of us who are, at this level are able to see the picture. I walk around in a 3D world and I look at it in 2D space, meaning, the pictures are 2D. They're this way and this way, right? They're not. There's no depth. I have to make that depth, so I have to see what does not exist. Your eye keeps everything in focus. You look out at something, the doors are in focus, the pictures are in focus, your hands are
I
everything
need
in
to
focus.
I need to
That
break
doesn't
in
work in it.
because we're running out of time, and I want us to be able to talk about this. I want us to be able to talk about the meetings industry fund. And
Oh
if we
yeah.
go over a little bit, we can, just because I know that this is so important for you. So, right, right.
Yeah,
So
please don't
if we can
anybody
hold
go.
on just for a little bit
This is
longer.
important.
Listen, we've been hearing Chuck talk about some great, exciting things. He's adventurous, he's inspiring, and he's learned a lot about what works with when it comes to art and learning and growing a business. But what does it mean when someone who is involved in all of this, when they come across something that needs their help and that they have to create, that they have to help make, and so the meetings industry fund is something. This is the whole way I got Chuck to agree to even come on here and talk to me, is that he'd be able to talk about this. And so there are a lot of interesting people who worked on forming this with you, like worked on building this. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of it and what it is and who it's helping?
Yeah. The industry had been very good to me. And you always look for a way to give back. This is not me. And let me just preface it. I'm no hero. My vices exceed my virtues. I'm not that great of a guy. I admit this. But as I got involved with some of the foundations in our
Hmm.
industry, noble as they are, I was shocked. I'm like, well, wait, where's the one that helps the people in this industry when when times got tough? Where's that thing? So a few years ago, when Facebook had this thing where you indicated what states you had been to, I saw that North and South Dakota, no one had ever been there. So this was around the time of PCMA in the middle of winter. So I said, hey, who wants to go on a road trip to North and South Dakota? Dave Peckinpah, the CEO of Maritz Travel, the Experience, said I may want to do this, and I'm like, first, what the hell is Dave Peckinpah doing following my drivel on Facebook? But we started to gain legs on that, and Ann Heller, a good friend who I talk to all the time, said, "Well, we'll be your media sponsor." And I'm like, "Well, we got to turn this frivolity into something. Let's use the buzz that we're going to get to launch this thing, this whatever this thing was going to be." So we decided on the meetings
Hmm.
industry fund instead of foundation, so that other foundations will not think that we are a threat to them, which some of them do. And don't get me freaking started, because I'll go to a dark place. So because of Dave Peckinpah, Susan Serfati, Heather Shearer, and Neil Couture, people that I reached out to be the founders of this thing, we created the Meetings Industry Fund. And since our inception, we've raised over
Wow.
$65,000, and we have granted out over $35,000. Both of those numbers are make me unhappy now. They make me unhappy because um, uh, although we have been embraced by many people, our donor list is 150 people. Is wonderful. Some wonderful people have supported us. I am saddened by the less than enthusiastic reception that the Meetings Industry Fund has among some of the organizations in our industry, especially those organizations that this fund, whose members that this fund has helped, that yet still reject our existence and not only do nothing to help us, but don't do anything. And the problem with that is this: there are people out there, and I read the applications. I read the applications from people who just been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and have no freaking idea what they're going to do and are in a panic. I get the applications from people that are disabled and don't know how they're going to pay their mortgage. I get this stuff. I read these things. We decide and we give these people money. They've got no other place to go. We don't have people. These people that are in trouble don't know we exist because some of the major organizations in this industry who should be calling me up on the phone and saying, Chuck, what can we do to help you, to help the fund? It's not me, to help the fund. We want to publicize this to our members. Can we do that? Because we have members that need help. I get nothing. So there are a lot of people out there who are struggling, who don't know that there is help out there. We have probably $20,000 in the bank right now. That's a number that doesn't make me happy. I'd rather have 5,000 in the bank, knowing that everything has gone out to people, who are in need. So that's what it is. It's the one. Well, there's the Search Foundation, wonderful people. We have a great relationship. They started off in the special events industry. Ours is mostly in the meetings industry, but we have decided, another one of my visions has been the 50 over 50 awards. As somebody who is in that age bracket, not a joke, these will happen in September. As somebody in that age bracket who's like, wait a minute, there's the 20 under 20 and the
me hope.
10 under 10.
I need to win some awards. Maybe when I hit 50, I'll have a shot,
Right. I'm like, what's, great. I'm happy for the 40 under 40, but the problem is this, and I'm serious here, is that it takes that light, that age light, and moves it away from me, and it moves it on to the millennials. So all of a sudden it's the next generation, and we forget that it's the pioneering generation. It's the people that built the industry. It's the people who, by their efforts, continue to set the example for our millennial friends to follow. It's not just about the 4 people, 5 people every year who win the big awards, who own the big companies. It's about the rank and file. It's about the people who day in and day out and for decades have made this industry what it is. So the Meetings Industry Fund is proud to be the host organization for the 50 over 50 awards, where we will recognize 25 people a year for their dedication to the industry. And people say, wait a minute, why 25 when it's the 50 over 50? And the answer is because 50 is just a number.
I like it. I love it.
Brilliant, huh?
Well, with that, I need to go ahead and bring us to a close. But before we do that, I do want to bring up a few great ideas that I see coming up in the live chat here on the site on Crowdcast. And again, for those of you who are watching Association Chat for the first time, or maybe the 15th time, or the 50th time, please share this information about the chat, tweet out about it, and let people know. But But here's what you can tweet out, okay? We got some really great advice over here. Gay says, get the word out. The application is anonymous when you're talking about the meetings industry fund, that the application is anonymous if you think anyone might need help. Nicole says, if everyone on here could just do one post, include the link, the reach would certainly help. And those on boards of organizations that are involved, share it with your committees and the staff. And I think that those are some really great words of advice. I want to thank everyone for participating in today's association chat. And Chuck, I want to thank you for suffering through some of the technical challenges and for making it a point. Last week, there was a delay with the plane. You made it. We were able to have this conversation this week, and I'm very thankful for that. Coming up next week, we have Association Chat live from MMC. And then the week after that, we have a special association chat with Seth Kahn talking about leveling up the senior leadership team. And so that's going to be a really good one. And I hope that all of you have gained some sort of new insights that you can use either today or in the future, sometime, whenever that may be. If you're loving Association Chat, please consider sharing this chat with your colleagues and give us some love on social media. And as always, if you want to continue the discussion, you can join the Association Chat Facebook group for regular updates on upcoming topics and special guests. Catch us live each week here on Facebook Live, or subscribe to the audio podcast on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher, and the list just keeps on growing. I hope to see many of you at the upcoming ASAE MMC conference or at the WebLink Summit. And let me know if you're going to be in the area. Make sure to say hi. Until next time, everyone, keep asking questions to learn every day. As Joseph Campbell once said, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Have a great week, everyone. All right, bye. So that's it. What did you think? Did you have a good time? Give us some love on social media and see you next time.